bought this for Petty, and he used it along with a Showman head. He'd use one for rhythm and one for lead.
Oh, Len did?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So first, Tom used this in
Sundowners.
well, yes, probably the Sundowners and then the Epics. I've never been able to find a picture of Tom playing anything like this because they're standing in front of the amps. You can't tell exactly what they're playing. You can tell it's a blackface Fender, but so
I remember it well.
Yeah, and you were there that day that he bought it. Is that right?
Yeah. More or less, yeah. Specifically, the history of Tom early on. Once Tom started playing, a little acoustic guitar and being interested, as he was, I came to him one time, and a friend of mine's father owned Fisher's Meat Market.
Right.
Actually, it was Jim Linehan's stepfather.
Right.
And my father was friends, and I was there one day, and there was an electric guitar, and I went home and told his mom and dad, or told Tom about it, and his dad took him down. It was $25 for an electric guitar and a little amp, and they went down and bought it, and when they got it home, it was terrible, and they were able to take it back and get their money back. But at the time, Mr. Petty was working for what was the name of the place that so I can't think of the name of it right now. Now it's where they sell have the book auctions, for the Friends of the Library.
Yeah. Okay.
Eli Witt is what it's called.
Yeah, one of my nephew-in-laws is Eli Witt. Right now, I got one of them in the family.
Yeah. So Eli Witt. And anyway, apparently one of the other employees, Mr. Petty was aware of, had this guitar and amp.
Right.
And so that came home, and it was that bass guitar. You probably know the model of it and all that.
EB2 or something like that.
Yeah. And so Tom had a bass guitar in his hands and some type of little amp. I can't remember. It might have been a Deluxe or a Princeton or something.
Seems like Princeton is what I've heard.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at too, is for my memory. But Tom got that, and with that, during that short time period, not too long after it, we got together in Tom's living room one Saturday and started this band called the Sundowners, and of course Robert Crawford, Richie Henson, Tom, Dennis Lee is the drummer, and myself, and Tom, on his bass. And so once that got started, and they played their gig at Howard Bishop School and all, practices started. They started really practicing, and they started picking up a few dollars. Plus, we sold drinks at the Florida Field, and Tom put enough money together to go down to Lipham's, and he bought this Bassman amp.
On time?
Huh?
Did he buy it on time?
I don't remember. It seemed like it. It might have been $200. It seemed like somewhere in that range. But I didn't remember it being on time. I know that he came home with it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't remember the details of whether it was on time or not. But anyway, he was full-fledged rock star at that time. He felt like, he had made the big time because he bought this Bassman amp.
Well, it's a professional rig still to this day. That's what people play for those.
And he cherished it like, it really made him, If a new pair of shoes can make you whatever, this Bassman really put him on top of the world, and he continued to play it, through with the Sundowners. That was his pride and joy. That was a real special deal for him, and played it till the end. I guess after the Sundowners blew apart, and he kept rolling with the Epics, and apparently news has it that it was then sold at some point to Tom Ledden, I guess.
Right. That's what Ledden told me. Yeah, he bought it from Petty. Yeah. And those years, he talked about playing it with Mudcrutch. He never talked about playing it with the Epics. So Tom probably had it during that time.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had it, of course.
But I think Tom moved up to a Showman also, which was twice the power. Showman's 80 watts or 85 watts.
I didn't know anything, but he would have had it through the Epics, I'm sure.
Right.
And that was a big deal for him. I carried that thing in lots of times, setting it up.
Yeah.
Well, the lower it seemed like it had two 12-inch speakers. The bottom case.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. Those were some big speakers down underneath. That was.
So how did you get it?
When I was working at Sabine Music in the 80s, somebody brought it in and it was broke, and he wanted a keyboard. And I didn't, honestly, at that point I was thinking, cool, Mudcrutch, I wish it said Heartbreakers on it or something like that, but I've kept it the whole time. I got it working perfectly and still use it, but there's been 4 famous amps that came my way. One was Barry Oakley's Showman, which came from Lipham's. One was this, and one Chris Etheridge of White Bassman, the guy from the Burrito Brothers, and Clarence White's amplifier from the Byrds. So whenever somebody like that, with their amp came around, I'm like, well, gee, if I could play like them with that amp, I should be able to make that sound. But I mean, this defined his early tone, that Net Gibson bass. So that's why it's important.
And I don't know how long Tom stayed with bass, but how long do you know how long he stayed playing bass? But
until when they finally left and went to California, he was playing some guitar. I mean, he played at the show at Westside Park. He played guitar, but he had to have another bass player, which is what Danny Roberts was. It was another utility guy who could switch off to bass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So that was when the transition happened from bass to guitar for him. And when he got Mudcrutch back together, he, true to form, he played some great bass in the new Mudcrutch too, I thought.
Well, some things that came about also during those early years was at some point Tom had a keyboard. Mm-hmm. I was kind of amazed one day. I went down to Tom's house in his what we called a sunroom with the quarry tile floor set up there. He had a keyboard set up, and he was teaching himself or learning how to play the keyboard. Other people have come forward and say they helped him learn that also. But I'm sure Trantham Whitley or David Mason or somebody was kind of.
Well, those guys are certainly good guys to learn from. I think Petty understood music in a big way.
Other thing that he brought on board, and I wasn't with him when he bought it, but he was excited to show it to me. And this was pretty early on. Is he'd gotten a 12-string guitar.
Right.
And it's acoustic 12-string.
Right. Was it an Echo or something like that? Do you remember what it was?
I don't remember the name.
Yeah.
I remember it was kind of a blonde, body guitar. But I never even knew. He knew all this stuff. I wasn't a musical guy.
Well, you had been to the clubhouse out west, and you saw there's probably 50 of these things around there. Then he ended up, because that is kind of the definition of tone right there. The Bassman amp is.
It's amazing.
Every Marshall amp you ever heard was based on this design. Jim Marshall took the Bassman circuit and copied it. So that's kind of cool.
It was funny when we went to Tom's and Dana's house in California. Mm-hmm. He wanted to show us his studio and everything.
Right.
And he was so proud of it. And then he took us out back, and he had a little pond with frogs.
Right.
And he said, "You'll hear a lot of frogs on my songs."
There are some.
That's funny.
Yeah, I can't remember which ones, but
he was, here he was, this big rock star, just so proud to show us his.
He couldn't be himself with just everybody. Y'all go all the way back. That's why,
Right.
So.
Yeah, he didn't have to prove anything, and we didn't want anything from him. So he was just proud to show us his studio. And Keith, he showed us his housekeeper's. Tom showed us his housekeeper's house or apartment.
It was just a little apartment attached.
And Keith walked in, and he said, "Tom, I smell gas."
Uh-oh.
And
there was a gas leak.
There was a gas leak. Tom was very appreciative.
Heck, I bet.
So.
And he was proud to show me his barbecue grill. He took us around. and they had a. I guess I can't imagine Tom cooking, but I guess he did.
It was funny. He was such a nice guy. Such a nice guy.
The part I remember about his